What's going on, Wolves and Warriors? My name's Jay Stewart, and this is the Better Body Academy podcast, the #1 show for those looking to permanently overhaul their mind and body without dumb diets and unsustainable workout programs. We banish the fitness industry BS and replace it with science-backed strategies proven through countless client transformations. In the Better Body Academy, we help busy men and women around the world get unstuck and back into momentum so they start feeling strong and sexy again. Our mission is to transform 1 million lives, and you, my friend, could be next. And on that note, let's get straight into today's show. Welcome back to the Better Body Academy podcast, the podcast that you come to when you're sick of the dumb diets and unsustainable workout programs. And I'm stoked that today we are bringing to you episode 50 of the podcast. I can remember back to, let's say like maybe 6 months ago when I spoke to one of my mates about running a podcast and opening. I had absolutely no idea how to do it. And I was kind of like thinking, man, this is going to be the hardest thing in the world to actually do. And then really I got some help off my coach and one of our boys, Joey. And here it is, 50 episodes deep in what, probably 3 months, 4 months, something like that.
Easily. That's good.
So
congratulations, mate. I'm proud of you. It's awesome. It's an awesome achievement.
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate really you saying so, Mick. And guys, on that note, I'm if you don't already know this bloke, obviously most of you know him, but this is my main man, very trusted friend, head coach inside our academy, Michael Ilius. Mike is just the we're like Cheech and Chong. He's the good looks of the academy and the pale skin. I'm the wog skin and the not so good look. So, yeah, Mikey, welcome.
Thanks, bro. Appreciate having me today.
Cheers, brother. So, guys, what we're going to be doing in this podcast episode is a bit of a breakdown off the back of our recently run mastermind. So we did basically 2 masterminds concurrently. So first of all, what the hell is a mastermind? Well, a mastermind is basically a high-level or more advanced program where we bring in a small group of people and get kind of, I want you to think of it almost like a footy scrum, right? We get into the scrum and we meet up every week. We basically have conversations, and these conversations get super, super deep. Now, the main thing about this mastermind was that it was less about what we call the top level of our pillars, our model, nutrition and training. It was less about that and more to do with what we call our secondary pillars of mindset and lifestyle. So over the course of the last 12 weeks with our advanced students, we've been through a program which we've gone super deep. And what we're going to do in this episode is not only celebrate episode 50, and we're going to pull out the 3 lessons each that we wanted to take away while it was fresh from the mastermind. So, guys, here we go. Do you want to start or do you want me to start?
Oh, I don't mind, mate. Yeah,
cool.
I'll have a crack.
Cool.
Yes. So number 1 for me, and I think it sits home with me, is the power of being vulnerable. It's especially with men. The women, it took them probably to week 2 before they exploded and shared everything, but it's a lot harder with us men. And I think having the ability in a group of trusted friends to get everything off your chest that you need to, and especially when you're hurting about something, and the part that I like the most is that 99.9% of the time, one person in that group is going to be going through that similar situation and can offer you some life advice on what they've done and maybe get you through it. Sharing your feelings is very hard because you expose yourself, and people don't, I think they just don't like, just letting other people know the negative side to their life or the lessons they've learned along the way. So, yeah, I think being able to say what you want in a group of like-minded individuals that can reassure you that life is better, and when you go deep and you know, forgive yourself for the past. I think, you know, we've both experienced that ourselves, and the part I like the most is that it actually slows you down, and you be present when you get vulnerable. I think that's the one thing I took out of it mostly.
You've got a statement or a phrase that you like to use, which is, you can't heal what you don't reveal.
Yeah, I've got it in bold on the paper in front of me.
Yeah. And you know what, Mick, you know, we've had people, you know, level us at the past, you know, you guys are pussies, you know, talking about this shit. And like, it's like, I'm just going to interrupt this podcast to give you a fuck you because
I'll double that.
Dude, you guys are that are trying to be hard asses, and I just want to ask you, like, how's that going for you? You know, Mick is absolutely on point. The vulnerability that we got, and of course we separate the men and the women for the important reason that you won't get vulnerability if you have cross sexes, because the women don't want to be seen as kind of whingy and not really talking about their deepest stuff. And then equally, the men don't want to be showed up as not men. And so we separate the two masterminds, and what you get is really by week sort of 3 or 4, someone kind of reveals a bit of trauma, and then the scab is ripped off and the emotion starts to pour out a little bit. And that's the beginning of the kind of the healing and revealing process. So I think that's a beautiful first takeaway, mate.
Yeah. And I think it provides love. Like, you know, the one thing that you've said from the start, which I respect, is that you lead by love. And I think that's awesome. And, you know, the fact that you and I can say, I love you, you know, because it means something to us. It's not it's something that shouldn't be said. It should be said to everybody.
Yeah, 100%, mate. Great first lesson, brother. Okay, so my first lesson is that it's probably a little bit more general to transforming, and that is, you start out thinking in our BBA program that it's about weight loss. Like, everyone comes in and thinks about weight loss, and then, you know, the guys that really, really engage in this process, they quickly realize that it's not about weight loss. Like, weight loss is the external journey. But in any transformation journey, there are 2 parts to the process. The external journey, yeah, for sure. Losing the weight's good. Okay. Putting on some muscle is good. Whatever it is that you're trying to do, getting more flexible, these kind of tangible physical things are important. But actually, the thing that determines whether your transformation is permanent or not is what happens inside. It's the internal journey. And when I look at our best transformees, our best clients over the course of the last 3 years, and you know, typically the people that come to the top of this pile are the ones that have made the internal journey and be willing to kind of, you know, evolve their identity. And so what we saw in this mastermind is men and women that at the start were, you know, like kind of stuck, you know, kind of still stuck. They'd got great physical results, but we're still trying to kind of get around, like, how does this mindset piece work? And what we saw by the end of 12 weeks is certainly not full embodiment, because that's not possible in a 12-week period, but certainly, you know, real good progression along the line of getting to know ourselves. Who am I? What are my core values stand for? What do I actually want in life? And when you start asking those questions, I love that old phrase, Mick. You ask a better question, you get a better answer. And when you start asking yourself better questions, you start to reveal better answers and more about what you want. So my first lesson is that it starts off with everyone thinking it's physical, but then you quickly realize that when you start to go deep on this stuff, actually, it's the mental transformation, which is the biggest thing. I'll flick it over to you, brother, for lesson 2.
Good segue into mine. Second lesson 2 is change. At the end of the day, it's very uncomfortable and extremely triggering. And when I say that, I mean, it causes you to experience the failures of the past, anger. Like, what's anger? It's energy that needs somewhere to go, isn't it? So, you know, when you bring up
that's sick. That's nice.
Yeah. But it is, you can use that energy to your advantage or disadvantage. And most people, because they're on a downward spiral, use it to a disadvantage, and that's anger. I mean, I've done it myself. I've been through years of it and got out the other side. So, but change, it causes you to judge your emotions. It requires you to be more flexible internally and externally. Requires you to trust in the process.
despite how you feel. And one of the topics that we talked about is that if you only act according to how you feel, you're not going to get very far. Because for the majority of people, you're not going to feel like doing the things that need to be done. I mean, think about your day. Like, you're not going to feel like most of the things that need to be done. And so part of I was speaking to my partner about this morning, is like, one of the biggest things is developing the ability to do things that you don't feel like doing. And when you say change is super uncomfortable, I think that's the point, isn't it?
Correct. Yeah. Well, there's another quote. I'll use it again. Life doesn't happen by chance. It happens by change. I've said that 1,000 times. But what else change requires you to do is to let go of friendship circles that don't give you any benefit. You know, the old saying that the 5 people you hang around with the most are the ones it's how you're going to, turn out to be. Your job, your career, get you to question, am I on the right trajectory with my core values? If I'm not, I have to change. It's very difficult, to change. But I guess it's the uncertainty of what lies ahead that makes it hard for people.
Yeah, totally, mate. Love it. Lesson 2 is a ripper. We're going to segue all this way down, dude. So you mentioned about this kind of this idea of the 5 people that you hang around with the most. My lesson 2 is that there's nothing more uplifting and powerful than being in the right environment. Okay. Now, let me kind of dig into this one. In our base program, I think we do a really good job at creating an environment. Okay. But ultimately, there is a number of people in our program, and you have to get uncomfortable and really engage if you want to get the most out of the transformation. When you come into a small group of, say, 10 to 15 men or women, it's almost like you're kind of like boiling off the water. It's like you're thickening a gravy, right? So imagine this: you take a big group and then you boil the water off the top and you thicken, and everything gets thicker, and then you're left with a concentrated form of the environment. And nice. That's the people that are in the mastermind, right? And so these people in the mastermind have basically decided that they're going to take the next level, and they've come into this. And so they don't actually necessarily know what they're in for when they join our mastermind, but they come in and they surround themselves with the right people. And then all of a sudden, the content's important, but it's the surrounding of yourself with other people that are willing to be a bit more vulnerable and that are wanting more in life, that are chasing something to overcome this feeling of average. And we saw some like very cool things. And it wasn't us leading it. It was people like Linda coming in and saying, I'm going to surf. I'm going to get up and surf one day. Right. And then all of a sudden, or even in the base program, I'm going to start doing things that are uncomfortable. She goes out and starts doing these cold water swims. Then all of a sudden, half of our academy is filming themselves on the beach doing cold water swims. This is what happens when you hang around with people that are playing at a different level. And let's face it, I don't know about you, bro. Well, actually, I do know about you, but like in our general population, if you're going to talk about things like, having more impact, making more money, transforming your body, improving your mindset, most people don't want to talk about that shit because they're not in the place. So you feel somewhat like you've got to talk yourself down. So the beauty of being part of a mastermind is that you can come in and it's acceptable. It's acceptable to say, hey, I'm proud of this. I'm proud of where my business is at. I'm proud of where my body is now going. I'm proud of like how I've just overcome this self-limiting belief. And to the person that's kind of doesn't have that connection, that network of deep friendship now, you got nowhere to share that. So my second lesson is that there's nothing more uplifting and powerful than the right environment. So if you're kind of watching this at home or you're listening, what I want you to do is just like do a little bit of an audit of your environment, right? Who are the people that are in it? Are they picking you up or are they pushing you down? Is it like crabs in a bucket? That's the analogy.
Yeah, I love that one.
Yeah.
I love that analogy.
Let's get over to you for lesson 3, bro.
I guess segue number 2 is, I guess if you want to do any of that, you have to have intent. All right. And intent requires, I guess, setting something and following through with it. Right? And what you don't want to do is lose your credibility when setting intent, right? So for me, it's to do with, if I want to establish myself as a leader and I want to help and mentor people, if I don't do the things that, the basics of coaching, mentoring, like my credibility is just out the window.
It's lost.
Yeah, correct. So, and I guess you call it I read once, it's your personal brand takes a hit. Like, my personal brand is, I'm the guy that people come to, but if I don't do that in real life, my credibility is out the window. So if I don't follow through with my intentions, it's all gone. So how can we be perfect follow throughers? We be honest about what we want to ourselves and our family and our friends or whatever's in our circle. We understand that there's a massive sacrifice to make for following through, because you have to be, part of your credibility is trust and honesty and openness. If you don't understand the sacrifice that comes with that, again, you got to prepare yourself for success. Create deadlines, but I think the most important thing is incentivize yourself. Yeah,
dude. Actually, so I'm thinking back to a conversation that we had, and we talk about how good relationships are built, right? So when, like, not a relationship with yourself, a relationship with a significant other or a friend, they're built out of trust. And so where is trust built out of? Trust is built out with saying that I'm going to turn up for you, right? And then actually following through on turning up.
Turning up, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So imagine you had this this relationship with your partner, for example, and you kept telling them, or actually put yourself in the receiver of this, right? Your partner kept telling you that they were going to do stuff, whether it's take the garbage out, cook you dinner, or pick you up from the pub. It doesn't matter. They kept telling you that they were going to do stuff, and they didn't do it. The first time you think to yourself, oh, that's something that's just happened and they've messed it up and that's forgivable. And the second time it's forgivable, and the third time it's forgivable. But eventually, when it's a pattern of not actually following through on what you say you're going to do, you eventually just lose trust with your partner. So this is exactly why people's self-confidence disappears, because they've said multiple times over the course of the years, I'm going to do this. I'm going to start tomorrow. I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to do. And then what happens is, over time, after you've not done what you've said you're going to do for a long period of time, you eventually get to a point where you don't trust yourself anymore. And so life has very little to do with intention. If you want to build supreme self-confidence and self-belief, it comes from saying you're going to do something and following through on it. And if you can't follow through on it, then don't commit to it in the first place.
Yeah.
Anything to add to that, man?
Not really, man. It's I think that the reason why the mastermind was a success is because everybody, especially from day one, is, when we do those tasks of the wheel, that's basically setting your intent from the start.
Yeah.
And watching at the end. And there was a couple of people in both groups that might not have turned up all the time and probably question their own credibility in that sort of sense. But yeah, most of us, most of the people in the group were there every day and did what they had to do, and you can see it in the results. So
yeah. And you know what, like with the implementation tasks that we did, if it's a group of, let's face it, okay, so Sunday inside our Better Body Academy is check-in day, right? There will be a number of people that won't check in. Now, why? Probably because they haven't had a good week, they are busy, or nervous, any number of nervous or whatever. And there's any number of reasons and excuses, and okay, cool. But in a small group like a mastermind, it's very hard to fall through the cracks. You either just go offline completely, or you're picked up by the people that you're around, which goes back to kind of the lesson about uplifting and being in a powerful and right environment. But dude, I love that. It's about follow through, 100%.
Yeah, and I think I'll give you another quote because I love him. Mike Tyson is do what you hate doing, but do it like you love it. Because a part of follow through is there are those 20%ers, 5%ers that have to be done to get further advanced than where you want to be, and they're the hardest things in life in general. So
I love it. So if you are at home and you're struggling a little bit to kind of with your own self-confidence, and you're in a bit of a stuck point, and you're in a bit of a hole, like the way you get out of the hole is start following through, even though you don't feel like it, even though you are not motivated to do it. If you can establish the habit of following through more often than not, you'll build credibility with yourself. And I think that's definitely what we've said here in this mastermind. All right, lesson 3 for me, and the final lesson of this podcast, is that sometimes you just need to be willing to let go of your old identity. Yeah. I mean, and I can speak from personal here, is that, I had an identity of who I thought that I was. And, I was in a previous life, a sales manager. And, I built up with my habits, I built up an identity of everything being around that one thing. And then when COVID hit and that job was just like sliced, this was as we were building the Better Body Academy, all of a sudden you're exposed, right? And you don't know who you are anymore. And so you need to choose, right? Am I going to try to lie in the ashes of this painful self that I've got, or I'm going to move on and decide who I want to be, and decide and build up all of this kind of new identity around a set of habits that I want to have. And so I'm going to point out numerous people who are probably the top 3 that I've seen this happen with. Is Travis in our first mastermind. Sorry, I start again. Yeah, Travis is one of them. Chris Lewis, who absolutely just burnt his old identity. And then in this one here, one of our guys, Lucas, now I focused on the males mastermind here, but Lucas just like completely burnt his old identity, started a new Facebook page, washed it away. Now, I do think that there is some value with kind of understanding who you were and who you used to be. But as you start to level up, guess what? There's going to be a certain point in time when you're going to start, people are going to stop cheering for you, right? It's a really hard thing, because as you start to grow, these friends that you've had since you've been a kid, they stop cheering for you a lot of the time. And the reason is because by you growing, you're threatening to leave. It's not that you don't love them anymore, but you're moving on to bigger and better things because you want from your life to be big. You want it to be impactful and mean something. Now, if you can't let go of who you used to be and the pain that was associated for who you used to be, you're going to always, your autopilot's always going to end up taking you back. And I can see people out there, and it's not a criticism, it's just what it is that, do you have any people that you know, Mick, that are so attached to a negative identity?
Yeah.
That even though they say they want to change, the only thing that people know about them is this identity. So if they were to let go of that negativity, well, then who would they actually be? So even though it's not conducive to a good life, it's like, I can't let go of this negative self because this is me and I don't know myself without this negativity. And that's what keeps people stuck.
Yep.
So you need to be fucking courageous to be able to let that go. And what we've seen
it's extremely hard. It's extremely hard because we all wear so many masks for different situations and different people in our lives, because we all, we have this perception of who we're supposed to be, or you've got to get rid of those masks, because there's only one face that really matters, and it's the authentic one that we're looking at every day in the mirror. Like it is. It's just, you can't keep wearing those masks. Those masks hide everything, and it makes you depressed and anxious and all the rest of that stuff that we don't want to be. But yeah, take the masks off and just embrace that person in the mirror that's looking back at you every day, because that's the only person that you can really rely on in your life.
Dude, that's such a good point, because it reminds me of one of the kind of longer lessons we had in the mastermind, which is, I'm not who you think I am. I'm not who you think I am. I'm not who I think I am. I'm who you think I am. And to everyone else at home, that's going to be like crazy. You're not going to understand it. But the point is, we're perceptions of perception. So you have two people having a conversation that bring in what is effectively a fake identity. So you have these two fake identities talking to each other about fake shit just to appease each other. The beauty of a mastermind is you bring in two authentic people. Well, actually, it's 15 authentic people in our case, to a conversation. And then you go deep and you discover some things about yourself which really reveal your true self. And it's fucking scary, actually. Sometimes like you kind of like, oh, like it's confronting and triggering when you start to peel back those masks as you're talking about. But I tell you what, when you can go through that process and start to say, you know what, like that was me, but I'm moving forward now. I'm not going to be defined by my past. And particularly if your past is full of trauma, maybe it's some sort of kind of assault that happened earlier in your days, or maybe it's your very early childhood conditioning, which you didn't choose, that just happened to you. You've got to be able to go back and kind of reconcile the past and let that go to move forward into the new you. So, guys, I think we should leave it there. We run the risk. Me and Mike can talk the teeth off a skeleton, and we'll be here all year. Any final words about the mastermind, Mike? Like, did you have fun running this one?
Yeah, dude. I think I learn more and more about myself every time I do it. I think it's just the challenge of new people and new mindsets and, new situations, new lessons. Everybody has a lesson. Everybody has a life to share. And I just love the fact that we can just go deep with, a bunch of like-minded humans and sharing everything, just pick each other up, pat each other on the back, reward the accolades. It's beautiful. I learned so much.
The best thing that I love is like you get to the end of the mastermind and you see the guys like celebrating and you're like, yes, like I've transformed, and that second high-fiving each other and celebrating it, that's so cool. And then you see that just the friendships have kind of developed, people that we didn't know, come from like more than a surface level of their transformation, because we've only kind of dealt with them and coached them around nutrition and training. All of a sudden they're revealing their deepest shit. Yeah. And that's the vulnerability piece coming up again. Yeah. So guys, I'm going to love you and leave you. Now, firstly, before we go, I do want to thank you again. One of the things that we teach in the mastermind is called the walk of success. Okay. The walk of success is when you have one leg down in gratitude and one leg up in ambition. Okay. And so you're always walking forward. And for me, having the gratitude, just that, like we have this beautiful academy, we have a podcast, we have a platform to be able to impact lives. I'm just so thankful. And to all those that are our clients and those that support the podcast, or even just like our photos and our posts in any way, like it's really important that you know that in any little way, we appreciate it. If you feel so inclined to leave a review on the Apple Podcast player, scroll down to the bottom. You can leave a review there and tell us how you feel about it. We would really appreciate that. But apart from that, that's episode 50, guys. This has been
a banger.
The banger, the Better Body Academy podcast with my main man, Mike Ilius. This is the podcast that you come to, the number one podcast you come to when you're sick of the dumb diets and unsustainable workout programs. And we will see you in the next episode. Wolves and Warriors, thank you so much for tuning in. If this podcast is hitting the mark for you and giving you the confidence to start your own personal journey, I want you to hit me up on Facebook or head over to my Instagram at jstewart_BetterBodyAcademy and DM me with the words Better Body Academy. I want to give you the tools to permanently overhaul your mind and body without dumb diets and unsustainable workout programs. Our mission is to achieve 1 million lives transformed, and you, my friend, could be next. So hit me up on Facebook or head over to my Instagram at jstewart_BetterBodyAcademy and DM me with the words Better Body Academy, and we can have a chat about whether we can help you with your transformation goals.